Alright folks, so we're back at the fish farm today. I know, I've been working on this fish project for a long time, but I promise, I'll be bringing some exciting stuff in a few days. Seriously, this thing's been a slow burn, but just stick with me. In the meantime, you guys should tell me what I should do next. Maybe a raid? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Whether you're here to wind down, study, or just want some chill background noise while I inevitably die like 5 times, you're in the right spot. So get comfy and let's dive into some stories together. The first story is from the subreddit r/AmIWrong. It reads, "My husband and I were walking in our neighborhood when a man stopped us in front of his house and claimed my husband was having an affair with his wife. My F62 husband, M59, who I'll call J, have been together for 26 years, married for 25.5. He is one of the most wonderful people I know. I had a very rough, dysfunctional, abusive childhood. It took years of therapy and tons of support from Jay to get to the other side and really learn how to love and trust. I also have ADHD, OCD, and suffer from severe anxiety and PTSD from my traumatic childhood. Jay has always been supportive and actually maintained a great sense of humor, especially with my ADHD. He actually was the one who suggested looking into a diagnosis. I was diagnosed about 10 years ago. We met when my daughter, 34, T, was 8 years old. I had been a single mom, so T and I are very close. We went to family counseling right after we married, his suggestion, because we wanted to ensure we integrated our family and learned how to do that with steps. To say that it has been amazing is an understatement. J and T love each other so much. It took a while, but we really worked at it. I tell you all of this to give a brief glimpse of why I trust Jay implicitly. We have gone through so much together. There were times that I thought that there was no way he was going to stay, that this would be the straw that broke the camel's back, but he has never left my side. When this man stopped us, he asked, my husband was having an affair with his wife. Both this man and his wife are well into their 80s. We thought he was joking at first and both of us started laughing. We then realized that he was serious. At first, he tried to say that it occurred during lockdown for COVID while I was at work. I told him that that was impossible because I am a teacher and taught remotely, from home, for over a year. We asked him why he thought this was occurring, and he said that his wife, who was in late stages of Alzheimer's, confessed to him. We asked if he knew a time frame when this supposedly occurred, as we have motion cameras around our house. Yeah, I am very paranoid. And we could get footage so he could see that his wife has never been to our home. He said he didn't know and couldn't ask her due to Alzheimer's. This whole thing was so surreal. I was furious. I told him there was no way this happened and my husband would never purposely hurt me. He said that's what all people say when confronted. There was a lot more back and forth, but he refused to back down, even though there was absolutely no evidence other than a confession from a woman in late stages of Alzheimer's. I am not naive, nor am I blind. There are 0 red flags. My husband treats me so well and we do everything together. I 100% believe this so-called affair never occurred. My question is, what do I do now? Do I get a restraining order to assure he stays away from us? Of all the crazy that has happened in my life, this has got to top the list. Am I wrong to want to get a restraining order against an 80-year-old man? Update. I did speak with a person in the neighborhood. I was worried about getting anyone involved officially because, as many pointed out, this could cause more harm than good. She assured me that they do have children and friends that do check on them, but she actually has not seen them around a lot lately. She will reach out to them. Next, I was walking around our neighborhood. Some people suggested that I do not walk by their house, but that would be impossible. Think of it like a thermometer shape. It is a long street with a cul-de-sac at the end, but in the middle is this big island with 5 houses on it. Anyway, at one point, the gentleman knocked on his window and pulled the top down. He asked to speak with me. I said that may not be the best idea as he essentially accused my husband of a horrendous crime. He said he would only take a few minutes and it was not something bad. I told him I would not go on his property, and I actually backed up to the middle of the street. He asked if I would be okay with his going into his porch, and I said yes. He immediately apologized. He said my husband's demeanor was what made him realize that there was not any truth to what his wife said. He said what many of you have told me about Alzheimer's, and he realized what his wife told him could not have occurred. I told him that I was so happy that he realized this, because after all I had learned in the last 12 hours, it was breaking my heart that this may be the last memory he had of the person he spent almost his whole life with. He thanked me, so I am thanking all of you that made me realize compassion and grace should be the go-to. We actually then had a nice conversation, all together talked about 15 minutes. He asked me to apologize to my husband for him. I told him I would, and we said, see you later. He had a really big smile on his face. Again, I do not think that his would have ended this way without all of your input. Even those of you that called me a Karen, that's okay. I used to teach at a behavioral school. I've been called worse. Wow. Man, this one was wild. Getting accused of an affair by an 80-year-old neighbor? All because of an Alzheimer's confession? That's straight out of a soap opera. I mean, what, the OP's what, 60s? I guess it was the 60s, right? Dude, you've spent half your life with this man and still had doubts? Nah. I mean, I can't even imagine some 60-year-old dude with an 80-year-old. Nah, man. But seriously, Alzheimer's is brutal. It messes with memories and perceptions. You've got to be patient and compassionate when dealing with stuff like this. Thanks for sharing this story. You're not a Karen. You're a compassionate neighbor. Well done. That was a wild ride, but it ended in a really good place. Alright, on to the next one. This one is from the subreddit r/AmITheAsshole. It reads, Am I the asshole for pulling away from my identical twin sister even though I know it has caused her to spiral? I, F18, am an identical twin. Our parents encouraged an insanely close to the point of codependency relationship, and my sister fell hard into it while I resented the hell out of it. Our parents even named us super similarly. My sister is Katie and I'm Casey, and the spelling of my name was chosen intentionally. Our parents wanted us to match always. My parents and sister always expected us to do everything together. We shared a bedroom and bed our whole lives until June. That's when I packed up my stuff and I moved out of our parents' house. Our parents insisted to every school we went to and every teacher we had that we'd be in the same class and sitting next to each other all year. When we had field trips, we were to be each other's buddy. If one was invited to a birthday party, then the other was assumed to be invited too, regardless of whether they were or not. All our extracurriculars were the same, and it was fucking miserable for me because I hated them. Those were all my sister's interests, not mine. Anytime I tried to set boundaries with my sister, she'd discard them and would carry on as normal. And normal for us was being codependent and super enmeshed. I was never very close to our parents, but I gave up on ever having a good relationship with them when I was 11, and they got mad at me for keeping a secret friend from my sister. They actually accused me of bullying because I wanted to keep a friend to myself. That's how bad things were. My sister has always hated when someone liked me and wanted to be my friend but didn't like her or want to be her friend. For my sister, we're one and the same. If you like one, you like both. She doesn't see us as our own individual people, just as twins. Identical twins who are alike in every single way possible. I remember being in the hospital when I was 14 and she wasn't allowed to stay with me, and my parents were removed from the hospital for abusing the staff over enforcing that rule of no minors overnight. I was released after 2 days, and those were the best nights of sleep I had until that point. I also felt like I got some breathing room, which was needed. My sister never slept. She was an absolute mess because I wasn't there. It made me wish I could have stayed in the hospital indefinitely. We were supposed to go to the same college, live together, and our parents planned on bullying the admin at our school of choice into assigning us as roommates. But then I acted like I wasn't going to college. I stayed with a friend and blocked my family for a while before me and my friend moved out of state to a community college. I just started everything. I got a job too so I can support myself, which is also my reason for community college. I did unblock my sister, and it's been awful. I have debated whether I block her again or not, but if I do, I know it will be a forever thing. There's no doing it for now. If I block her again, I won't ever have a relationship with her again, so I'm trying not to and seeing if she can try and grow. But she fell apart without me. She's already dropped out of college. She's back living with our parents. She has pleaded with me to come and take her home with me. Our parents used her phone to call me and say I'm awful for pulling away from my sister who needs me. They said I'm being abusive and accused me of trying to kill her with this. I can see her downward spiral, but I just can't be enmeshed with her for the rest of my life. I want to be me, not Katie's twin Casey. Am I the asshole? No, you're not the asshole here. You are absolutely right to want your own identity in space. It's heartbreaking to see your sister struggle, but your mental health and independence matter too. Honestly, the biggest issue here is your parents, who thinks it's okay for twins to share a bed and a life until they're 18. They turned you two into a package deal, erasing both your identities. I mean, I understand from their perspective, it may feel cute to them, but you've outgrown that infantilizing treatment. And then accusing you of being abusive for wanting your own life? That's just them trying to maintain control. You're not abandoning your sister. You're saving yourself from a toxic situation your parents created. You are not the asshole here. Alright, so a quick update on the build. I think this is it. This is the video where I finally finish this thing. I know. Sorry for the long wait, guys. I feel like I've been working on this tough for a long time. I'm definitely going to try to bring something different for the next project, because I'm sure watching me place the same blocks over and over is getting a little repetitive. But for now, I'm just in here sorting out some of the inside stuff. And then once that's done, I'm thinking of adding a whole bunch of lush greenery, like all over the roof and maybe trailing down the walls a bit. I just love all the green stuff, you know? Next story's coming up. This one is from the subreddit r/AmITheJerk, but it reads as, Am I the asshole for shutting down my brother's proposal at my baby shower and then sending him a bill? I'm 29 FR, due in November with our first baby. We planned a small mixed baby shower at a local village hall. Some nibbles, silly games, a couple of speeches. Me and my husband paid for most of it. My mother-in-law chipped in for desserts. It wasn't anything mad, but it was our little celebration. A week before the shower, my brother, 26M, texted asking if he could propose to his girlfriend during the party because the whole family will be there. I told him no. I said I'd be thrilled to help plan something special literally any other day, but I really wanted to keep the shower about, you know, the baby. He kicked off a bit and got my mum involved, who said it would be so lovely and 2 birds, 1 stone. I said no again and thought that was the end of it. On the day, during the toasts, my mum calls my brother up to say a few words. He starts chatting about love and family, and I see him pat his pocket. He turns to his girlfriend and starts to go down on one knee. I stood up, walked over, took the mic, not yanking it, honest, and said, Hey, we love you guys, but we're not doing this today. Let's please keep today focused on the baby. We'll help you celebrate properly soon, I promise. The room went dead quiet. His girlfriend looked mortified and legged it to the loo. My brother got angry, said I'd embarrassed him, and left. The rest of the shower was awkward. Afterwards, a few family members said I did the right thing and that proposals at other people's do are tacky. Others said I should have just let it happen and not caused a scene. That night, the family group chat blew up. My mum said I was controlling and that she'd cleared a surprise moment with the venue. As if that's the point. I said I'd already told them both no and that consent matters for parties too. My brother said I ruined his big moment and that his girlfriend had planned to fly her sister over next month, so this was the only time everyone was together. I told him we would have all turned up for him whenever he asked. Right, here's where I might be the arsehole. The next morning, I sent my brother an itemized request to cover half of the hall hire and the extra drinks package, 220 pounds total, since he tried to, in his words, make it our day too. I said if he wanted to use the party as his proposal venue, he could help pay for it. He hasn't paid, obviously, and now says I'm being petty and tight. I know sending a bill looks bad, but I was so hurt that he and my mum just ignored a boundary I'd clearly set. Since then, his girlfriend messaged me privately to apologize and said she had no idea he was planning to do it there. She also said she doesn't want their proposal tied to the memory of my baby shower anyway, which I totally get and was grateful for. I told her I was sorry for how awkward it was and would love to help them plan something nice later on. So, am I the asshole for taking the mic and shutting him down? And am I an extra arsehole for the invoice? I'm willing to hear I handled it badly, but I also feel like if I'd let it happen, the whole shower would have just become about their engagement, and the baby would have been forgotten. If you were at a party and someone tried this, would you just let it happen or step in politely? What's a better way I could have handled it at the moment? I'm definitely willing to make up. I just don't want to set a precedent that my no doesn't actually mean anything. Alright, look, I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, and I get why. But hear me out for a second. Is it possible, just possible, that the OP overreacted here? I know. She told him no beforehand. That's huge. But think about it from his perspective for a second. This was the moment. The whole family was there. His girlfriend's sister flew in. It felt like the perfect storm. Is it really that crazy that he saw this one perfect opportunity and just went for it? Yeah, it's her baby shower. Her day. I get it. But he wasn't trying to steal the spotlight forever. He was trying to share it for, 5 minutes? To create another happy family memory at a happy family event. It feels less like malice and more like really, really bad judgment. Now sending him a bill? That's where it gets messy. Yeah, paying for half the party doesn't make you petty, but it kind of feels like a rivalry move, right? A family meetup and talk it out could have saved a ton of awkwardness. Boundaries are good, but so is compassion. Sometimes family stuff is awkward and messy. It's fine to say no, but holding a grudge with an invoice? That's just stepping into soap opera territory. I don't know, man. A lot of you are probably gonna disagree with me in the comments, and that's totally fine. It's just a random YouTuber's opinion, who cares, right? But it feels like there was room for a little more compassion here. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. Let's move on to something else. Next story coming up. This one is from the subreddit AmITheJerk. It reads, I told my friend why I don't want to date him, and our friends are saying I broke him. Am I the asshole? So my F21, friend of 10 years Mark, not real name M23, called me yesterday to meet him for lunch, and that he had something important to discuss with me. I had free time, so I agreed. I met him already there and joined him. We had lunch, then we talked a little about random things. Then he cleared his throat and started speaking. He first told me that he didn't understand why I was dating my now boyfriend when he's a better match for me. I asked him to explain. And he basically went on about how he liked me first and he met me first. He's more good-looking, knows me better, he's taller than my boyfriend and more successful, which is not true in a way. My BF works aside from growing up in wealth, while Mark's entire life is funded by his parents' money, lol. He told me he doesn't understand how I can be with him when he's always been around waiting for me. I was out of words and asked him if he wanted me to be honest, to which he said yes. I told him that I would never want to date him given how I've seen the way he treated his past girlfriends. He ghosts them when he feels like it and just expects them to be there waiting. I told him he's too immature and irresponsible for me and that dating him would be exhausting. I also explained that the reasons I mentioned was why over time I started putting a distance to our friendship, because I didn't like the way he treated the women in his life. When I was done, he was just quiet. He just excused himself and left. I went home and went about my day. Later in the evening, our other friends started asking what I did to Mark, and that he's been a wreck since he met me for lunch. He's drinking and not telling anyone what happened. I explained to them what happened and they are saying I was harsh, and that I broke him blah blah blah. But I think someone had to tell him the truth. So Reddit fam, am I the asshole? Okay, so this is one of those situations that's just awkward. Like Mark comes in hot, trashing her current boyfriend. That too in front of her, listing all these super shallow reasons why he's better. And then gets mad when she gives him actual, real reasons why she's not interested? Bruh, you can't have it both ways. You asked for it, dude. And he calls her shallow? When his whole argument was about being taller and making more money. The irony is just, wow. Honestly, she might have done him a favor. Sometimes you need a friend to be brutally honest to help you see your own issues. It's a tough spot, but yeah, OP is definitely not the asshole. Yeah, maybe a bit rude, but not the asshole. Alright, it's time for a bigger one. This one was a popular one, but it now has some updates. This next story is from the subreddit r/bestofredditor updates. I will confront you by Wednesday of this week. This happened about 10 years ago, but the email I received from our boss was so epic, I preserved it. Context. The second year I worked at this company, our holiday party was held on a dinner cruise boat. Our boss footed the bill for dinner and an open bar, and a few other companies also hosted their own parties on the boat at the same time. Since I was underage at the time, I did not drink, and actually left early with my date. Everything was fine when I left. The Monday after, I rolled into the office the first person there and was greeted with this email from our boss. Good morning to all. I hope all of you had time to recuperate and reflect about the unusual chain of events and circumstances at this year's Christmas party. Some of you went home early and did not take in the full range of events. Unfortunately, some of our staff got out of hand, including the spouses. Things were said and things were done that, quite frankly, were very inappropriate. Also, we had people from the adjoining group that decided to take advantage of our open bar and commingle with our group. In regards to the inappropriate behavior, I am not going to go into all of the details, but let it be said that the root cause was probably due to the open bar. Some of our staff decided that the open bar meant that the drinking could be unlimited, not only in how much, but how they drank. As a result, some of our staff and spouses decided that shots were okay. Shots were ordered for some who do not even drink. Shots are not okay at a company Christmas party. Other staff and spouses got multiple drinks at once for themselves and for people not even in our group. Others decided it was okay to get openly drunk and belligerent, to the point of making racial slurs. I, myself, am guilty of attacking someone from the other group after he decided to retaliate by groping my wife. Having thought about the circumstances and the fact that we have to work together as a firm and team, some of you need to apologize for your behavior and/or for the behavior of your spouse. We specifically implemented a no fraternization policy, and some of you could get fired on that alone, while other staff exercised no restraint over their spouse for their drunken condition. It is not okay for a spouse to misbehave just because he or she is not an employee. Many careers have been destroyed, and people get fired due to the conduct of their spouse. You are expected to exercise constraint over your spouse or take them home, and if that cannot be done, then you should not bring your spouse. In regards to the firm's policy on drinking, there will be no more open bars. Unfortunately, some of you and your spouses exercise extremely poor judgment. Because of this poor judgment, it puts the firm at risk. Given the poor road conditions that night, some of you could have ended up dead. It is also unfortunate that a few have to ruin it for the whole group. I would like to start the apologies by stating, I am sorry for not handling the situation that I was confronted with in a different manner. I feel embarrassed, and it was not conducted befitting of the firm's president. I also felt betrayed by some of you for patronizing the one individual from the adjoining group, whose behavior was lewd and offensive, not to mention the outright theft by running up our bar tab. I invite others to make some form of apology, either by email or in person for what they did or said, or what their spouse did or said. You can do this voluntarily, and you know who you are, or I will confront you by Wednesday of this week. I do not intend to ignore what happened. If I have to confront you, you could lose your job. I will be available Monday and Tuesday late afternoon, or you can email me and/or others. Let's not let this one incident stop us from being #1 company in the field. We have a lot going for ourselves, and let's keep it going. Update. Every year around the holidays, I see my original story reposted by you, and it always makes me laugh how much people get a kick out of it. I often see people asking for updates at this point in time. The events in question occurred over a decade ago, but I'm happy to give an update from what my fuzzy memory recalls. I was, as you can imagine, gobsmacked by the email. So, once a friendly coworker arrived at the office, I grilled her for more of the details. According to her, basically everyone got totally hammered. A coworker of ours spotted a friend from another party on the boat and let him rack up his drink bill on our company's tab. The friend also grinded with the boss's wife on the dance floor, leading to a physical altercation. My boss punched the guy, apparently. And an argument of unknown origin started between the boss's son-in-law and a coworker's spouse, where she called him, a black man, the N-word. None of my coworkers were fired over the debacle. A few shared their apologies by email. The most egregious behavior, the coworker with the racist spouse, was apologized for privately. Looking at the company website, Besides the owner, only one other coworker remains with the company. I am friends with a couple former coworkers, not the one with the racist spouse, on social media, and they seem to be doing fine. The company is still in business. As for me, I was laid off from my position with that company after a few years, have since moved to a very big city where I work in an adjacent field, but a lot further up the ladder. All of my company holiday parties since have been extremely uneventful in comparison to that one. In fact, at my current employer, I help organize our holiday parties every year. We do not do open bars.
Oh, and that was obviously the biggest train wreck of a holiday party during my employment at that company, but not the only awful one. My first year there, our holiday bonuses were determined by a handheld game of Deal or No Deal. This meant some people who had been there for years got $20 as a bonus, and some who had been freshly hired received $200. It was bizarre and off-putting, to say the least. To answer the frequently asked questions I've seen, 1. It was a very small company, less than 15 people, closer to 10. 2. While the word groping is used, those who witnessed it described the boss's wife as consensually participating in dirty dancing, rather than something like assault. Of course, I wasn't there though, so obviously I cannot confirm. 3. I was able to leave the cruise early because the boat only went out on the water for an hour before parking on the dock again. 4. The friend of my coworker got free drinks via my coworker ordering the drinks for him. We had wristbands to indicate we could use the open bar. Oh my god. So the company party goes completely off the rails, and the boss sends out this email. I will confront you by Wednesday of this week. That is the most threateningly professional email I have ever seen. What is this, a movie? It's so formal and weirdly threatening. I love it. If I were the OP, I'd be so relieved I left early, but also a little disappointed. That's a historic level of fallout you don't want to be a part of, but you definitely don't want to miss hearing about. But seriously, that sounds like the most chaotic work party in history. Glad the OP got out of there early. That boss has a unique management style, for sure.
It's time for the update on the build, guys. I've finished adding these green accents here on the roof and walls, just a little touch. Next, I'm gonna try and get some of those firefly bushes. I think if I plant them around, it'll create this really cool, kinda mesmerizing, glowy vibe at night, you know? I'm also thinking of swapping out some of these stone bricks for the mossy versions. Just putting them in a few random spots on the walls to break up the texture and make it look a bit older. What do you guys think? Would that look good, or would it just be too much? Let me know in the comments. Alright, the next story is from the subreddit Relationship Advice. It says, I, F29, hate wearing rings and don't want to wear my engagement ring. My M30 fiancé is extremely hurt by this. I hate wearing rings and bracelets. They're always uncomfortable to me, and I can't wear one for longer than a day before it starts to seriously impact my mood. I became really annoyed. At everything. Get angrier easier. I suspect I might have Asperger's or something because this is not the only sensory issue I have. Everyone knows that I hate hand jewelry, including my fiancé. We've been dating for 3 years and he proposed a few months ago. When he proposed, he used a ring that's been passed down in his family. And I don't know why, I just kind of assumed it was more symbolic than anything else. Now though, he's really upset I don't want to wear it. I offered to wear it on a necklace, but since it's designed to be a ring, the stone scratches my skin and is still very uncomfortable. I have very sensitive skin, and by the end of the day there's a bunch of red scratches from where it irritated my skin. I told him that he knows that I can't wear rings or bracelets, but he said he thought I'd be able to put it aside for him. I really can't imagine wearing the ring for the rest of my life. I tried to wear it for him, but after a few days, everyone was remarking that I was acting really aggressive and snapping at everyone. I just hate the feeling of wearing it so much. It's hard for me to enjoy anything with it on. My fiancé thinks this symbolizes that I don't want to be with him or something. We've been struggling to find a compromise because he wants me to at least have the ring on my body because it's significant to him and his family.
and also doesn't want to have it reworked so it's more comfortable as a necklace. He's really hurt I don't want to wear it, and even said it makes him think I don't want people to know I'm getting married. I don't know what to do.
Update, we broke up. What? I brought up all the suggestions that the comments said. Get it reworked into a more comfortable necklace, put it in a plastic container on a necklace so it wouldn't have to be reworked, get a tattoo, all of it. He refused to hear it. The ring has been in his family for 4 generations and is extremely meaningful to him, so he did not want any compromise. He also didn't like that I would be married without a ring. He said it makes me look like I'm trying to hide the fact I'm going to be married, or that I have a fiancé, and insinuated that I was cheating on him, which really hurt my feelings. 2 days ago, I decided to try to wear the ring again to see if exploring therapy would work or something. It did not work at all. All day at work, I was distracted and uptight because it was on, and by the time I got home, I felt extremely distressed and upset. When I got home that day, I was ready to just collapse on the couch, but my sister-in-law and fiancé were home. I was not expecting my sister-in-law to be there. Apparently, it's tradition to throw a surprise party for engaged couples in my fiancé's family. The bride is taken out to get her nails done with the women of the family, get beautified or something, and then meets the groom and the rest of the family at a random family member's house for a party. I hate surprises, and I hate parties. I asked my fiancé why he didn't warn me, and he just said he didn't want to ruin the surprise. My sister-in-law knew that I didn't like shopping, and so she had already gotten me a dress to change into for the event after we got our nails done. It was a very sweet and thoughtful thing to do, but it was covered in sequins and had beads hanging from the bottom, which I already knew would make my sensory issues go crazy. My fiancé must have seen my face when I saw it, because he texted me that he would be really upset if I disrespected his sister by not wearing the dress. By the time I got to the party, I felt like a robot from how much I was shutting down. I still had the ring on too, along with the dress, so I was just doing everything in my power to not start crying or have some sort of freak out. A couple hours pass and I'm still feeling terrible, and then his cousin grabs my waist from behind to move me out of the way. I hate being touched so much. I hate it. I can hardly stand it on a good day. I screamed, and I just couldn't stop screaming and crying. His entire family just watched me, shocked. My fiancé pulled outside and into the car and drove me home, and was yelling at me the whole time, which made it worse. The next morning, he demanded an apology. I was so tired and exhausted, and I just thought, what am I doing this for? Is this who I want to spend my life with? So I dumped him. The apartment is under my name, so he's staying with family right now. I feel so light and free for the first time in forever. And now I don't have to wear his stupid ring. Okay, there's a lot going wrong here. First off, I just feel bad for her. She was clearly trying so hard, even posting on Reddit for suggestions. But the fiancé, he just didn't seem to care that her sensory issues were real. Like, what the fuck? Dude, you're about to marry this person. It's just a ring. Her sister-in-law, though? She's the real one. She knew OP hated shopping, so she went out and got her a dress. She didn't know about the sensory stuff, but at least she was being considerate. That's what matters. I'm just shocked at how the fiancé acted. Yeah, her preferences might be specific, but you don't just ignore them if you love someone. Like how could he think she'd just magically change? Allergies don't work like that. And then, the meltdown. Instead of helping her, getting her somewhere quiet, he just yells at her. She got a bully instead of an ally. I'm just glad she dumped him. Good for her. Alright, that's all the stories I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here, for sticking with me till the end of the video. If you're listening to this, I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Stay kind, y'all. Peace.